Hi folks, welcome back. Thank you for watching. Please do hit subscribe if you haven't done so yet. It really does help when you do that. So a few weeks ago I made a video about power tubes and I compared the EL34 tube set to a KT77 tube set in my Hughes and Kettner. And as we heard in that video, there were a few very small differences between those two sets of tubes, but really not very much at all, and certainly nothing that couldn't be accounted for with like a 1mm adjustment on your amp's low end or volume controls. Now today I want to take a look at a slightly different aspect of power tubes, which is the so-called standard tubes versus premium tubes. Do the premiums offer you anything over the standards? Do they sound better? Are they worth the price? All that sort of stuff. So here I have from the first video the good old-fashioned JJ KT77. Now JJ has kind of become the sort of industry standard tube manufacturer. Very reliable. They've had their QC issues over the years, as most people have, but on the whole, they are a very, very reliable, fairly inexpensive tube. And if you ever take an amp to an amp tech, chances are it'll come back fitted with JJs. So those are the kind of standard tubes on the market. Now, I'm not going to go into new old stock tubes today because I think that's a different conversation over manufacturing techniques and tolerances and things like that. But in terms of reissues of new old stock tubes, these are some of the most talked about on the market. These are the Genalex Gold Lion reissues. Now, they certainly look posher, and if you look at the boxes, the Gold Lion definitely looks like a sort of premium marketed tube. And if you go onto a website of a guitar shop that sells both these sets of tubes, you'll see that the JJs are marketed as, you know, good old-fashioned JJs, reliable, cheap. If you look at the Gold Lions, and I'm going to read the bump out here, Genalex Gold Lion KT77 is an exact reproduction of the original Genalex KT77. Made to the highest spec with gold-plated wire and thick glass, these artful valves can be pushed to the extreme. A faithful reproduction, this Genalex Gold Lion KT7 has heavy glass and ruggedized plates that will allow it to handle just about any abuse you give it and still have room to breathe. With gold-plated grid wire and beautiful artwork, the KT77 has a lot of power with good headroom too. To be labelled Genalex Gold Lion, tubes must endure and pass the toughest testing the industry offers. So there we are, and I should also say that these Gold Lion reissues are twice the price of the JJs. But do they actually sound artful? Can they handle more power than the JJs? Do they have more headroom? Do they have a different tone? I don't know. So today we're going to put it to the test. So in a similar vein to the last video, I'm going to put the JJs in my Hughes and Kettner, play a few things at different levels of gain, and I'm going to crank the amp rather than using pedals to get the tubes really working, and then put the footage side by side with the same stuff, play through the same amp with the same mic setup with the Gold Lion tubes, and see what tonal differences there are. So are these artful? Do they sound more posh? Does the sort of thicker glass and gold grid plating actually make a difference to these over the JJs? Let's find out. So without further ado, guys, let's get tubing. are, folks. Now, please do comment underneath, let me know what you thought of these two tubes. I love chatting nerdy guitar stuff with you guys in the comment sections. Now, the first observation I would have was, holy hell, that was loud. That was a 40-watt sort of Marshall Plexi amp being cranked up to the point where it was really working, and I'm sat about 50 centimeters away from it. So I'm a little bit deaf in my left ear now. But in terms of the tubes, did they sound different? Well, I think there were a few differences, but let's be honest, as with the last video, they were incredibly subtle and absolutely not anything that like a 1mm adjustment on your amp's low end control or volume couldn't account for. Now, to my ears, the JJ seemed to be a little bit more kind of flat frequency. It definitely had mid-range there, definitely had lows, definitely had highs. But to my ears, the Gold Lion seemed to have a little bit more low end and a little bit more kind of sizzle up top. So with clean sounds, this was almost more satisfying to play because it had that kind of warmth low down, but a little bit more chime in the high end. But as I piled the gain on, I think the Gold Lion had a habit of sounding a little bit kind of loose and flubby in the low end because of that extra sort of bass frequencies, and a little bit kind of fizzy up top in the way that the JJs didn't. But I think they were both in exactly the same gain range. I wasn't really hearing any differences in gain or volume out of these tubes. And as I said, you can easily EQ your way around those two differences. So is it worth shelling out and buying the sort of posh looking Gold Lion over the JJs? I would say probably not. This is literally twice the price of this. And in terms of what it offers you, I can't comment on life because these are two brand new tubes. Maybe these might last longer, I don't know. But as a kind of A/B test off the shelf, they are pretty much the same. So I would stick with good old-fashioned JJs. But please do comment underneath, guys. Let me know which of these tubes you would choose. Would you go for the posh-looking Gold Lion? Did you like that extra low end and sizzle up top? I love chatting all this sort of stuff through with you guys in the comment sections. So thank you ever so much for watching, folks. I hope this video was interesting and useful for you. Please do carry on subscribing to this channel. I know I always say it, but it does make a huge difference when you do that. And I will see you very, very soon. Bye-bye.